Thank you, brother. Thank you. Good morning. As we've already talked about, thank you so much. My name's Kenny, and I'm going to move some stuff around while I speak, and then I'll stand still for those of you on the camera. Yeah. Okay. The shortest prayer you can say is, "Dear Father, help. Amen." And that's really what it's all about, is helping each other. You don't know me. I don't know all of you. I know about some people, and some people have read about me a little bit. So I'm going to tell you a story about probably everybody can relate to. I just had a few twists and turns to mine that have been good and bad. So to start with, I came out here from Massachusetts. I was born in Worcester, Massachusetts, which is really famous for hockey in the IHL. I'm married with 3 children. I left high school and joined the service at age 17, served in Vietnam and Germany. I was an infantryman, door gunner. Then I came out, I worked breaking cutting horses, which mostly were quarter horses, for ranch work, herding cattle and stuff like that. And then I became an electrician, an electronics technician. I worked in the entertainment and security industry. I was vice president of California School Employees Association, which is non-credentialed maintenance, custodial, that type of workers. And then I was president of VOX Goodyear, the steel workers local to in Akron, Ohio for 8 years. And then I finally retired, came out here, back out here to California by doctor's orders because of the weather. When I was growing up, we came from Massachusetts out here to California. My dad was being reassigned by his company, so fortunately we got to move out of the colder weather and come out here to beautiful California, move into Long Beach. For a while we didn't have a place to live, so we stayed in a motel right on Long Beach Boulevard, and we had the front room, which was right on the boulevard. And every morning when I would get up and get ready to go to school, I'd see drunks passed out in front of the motel. At least that's what my father told me. They could have been actual just bodies. They were totally out and gone, and the police or somebody would drag them away. They'd be gone by the time I got back from school. We finally moved to a home in Covina, and then in Covina, I had a dog I was very close to. And at that time, in the mid-50s, there was dog killings going on, similar to the dog mutilation going on right now. And, you know, as we have to be men of God, we can't take justice into our own hands. But certainly, I'm sure there'll be a number of us that when we see these reports in the media or read them in the newspaper, we hope to run into that person that is doing these vile things and take justice. You know, vengeance be mine, but that's the Lord. The Lord, and they will answer someday to that. But certainly it's difficult for me not to become emotionally involved in such a thing. Horrendous on such an innocent thing. But anyway, so we lived there. My dog was murdered out in front of my house. Very traumatic to me. And then a few days later, my dad cuts off his big toe with a lawnmower. You know, wow, that's traumatic. My dad's toes on the front lawn. And back in those days, you don't dial 911. You know, you just pick up everything and you drive them over to the hospital. Or as crazy it may seem. But then we moved to Alhambra. Things looked better. I had a little sister I was born. She was 3 years old. And one day she's missing. I'm supposed to be babysitting her. I'm 7 years older, so I'm about 11 years old. The police bring her back to the house. She'd been walking on the freeway. You know, and that was one of the few freeways that was in Southern California at the time. And so the police bring her home. And it was another scene, but a little traumatic. I got in a little trouble, okay? So I had this piece of crap guitar. So I started playing that. That was amusing. And I really thought I was Elvis at that time, about 10 years old, 11 years old, listening to the little radio, and I'd play along, and I thought I was right in tune with him, and I thought my voice was the same as his. And as you men now know, that my voice is far from Elvis or any graceful singer, because I am not a singer. I know you didn't know that. And also, if I look a little heavy, it's because they say the camera puts on 25 pounds. And I think it's in real life it does that too, you know. Anyway, so we returned briefly to Massachusetts for the death of my grandparents on my father's side and my mother's side, just all dying about the same time. So we stayed there for quite a while, a year or so. And then we drove back across the country and moved into our new home in Lakewood, California. And I was raised in the Jewish religion. So at age 12, I was bar mitzvahed. So I had studied religion that way. And I love sports. I played a lot of sports and stuff. And I entered my first band, a rhythm and blues band, when I was about 13, 14, right after my bar mitzvah, because that's about the time I walked away from the church. I stopped going to the synagogue, stopped praying, and my parents and some of my brothers and sisters, they would still go, but it wasn't for me. I'm a musician now. I'm in a band, you know, and so we recorded at a place up in Downey called Wenzel's, which is a famous recording studio in the old days. Had a lot of surf bands and stuff. But one day, a friend of mine says, "You want to play at a party?" And I go, "Yeah, I'd like to." Well, they'll pay you. So I tell the rest of the band, well, they're all older than me. Here I am. I'm now 14. And the rest of the band says, "Yeah, we got to make some money at this sometime," because that's what it's all about. You get in the band to make money. So we went to this party. It was in Belmont Shore, and I can mention their names because I'm sure they're not alive. I'm positive they're not. Lyman, Ty, and Leo all went together to buy this house right on the beach in Belmont Shores. Oh, it was nice. Big old house, and boy, did they party. These guys were probably in their mid-20s. Well, they really liked our band. We did really well. I met a girl there. I was 14. She was 21. She had a car. That's all I cared about. I don't even remember what she looked like. She could have been good, bad, indifferent. You know, she was 21. She had a car. She could buy booze. She could buy cigarettes. And she liked to smoke weed. So that was my introduction into the drug side of my life. I dated this girl for a while, smoked a lot of weed, drank a lot of alcohol, 14 years old. I didn't do any heavy drugs at that time, but certainly I was even farther away from the church than I'd ever been in my life. It felt good for a short period of time. You know, when you're high, when you've been drinking, it feels pretty good. But never has that aftertaste that tastes really sweet, that stays with you for a long period of time. So that lasted until I was about 16, and then I got recruited into a band in Norwalk. And this band already had a record that was not a hit, but locally in San Diego through Los Angeles, it was very popular. Their guitar player had gotten drafted into the service. It was like 1963. And so they needed a guitar player. So they hired me. We were on TV several times. My first exposure to being on television, well, it was all live. But we didn't play live. We just lip-synced the whole thing. And girls that would never talk to me before started talking to me. They see me on TV. They thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, I'm a pretty cool guy, man. And I know about weed. I got stuff I can turn them on to that's gonna change their life. Well, they had stuff for me that could change my life as well. I got involved with a couple of clubs. Now this is where it gets really dark, and for the YouTube viewer, you may see some edited version here. I became a member. I was still 16. I became a member of the Beer Barons Bellflower, the Barons Bellflower Car Club. It was an outlaw car club. And that wasn't bad enough. I didn't own a car, but they didn't care. I became a member of a motorcycle club called the Sons of Satan. I was the son of Satan. I was a fully patched member without being a prospect. I never had no bottom rocker just to cruise around with. I didn't even have a motorcycle to cruise around with. I had to steal one. Okay, so I'm entering an area where I might get a little emotional. But we did a lot of bad stuff, really bad stuff. And I know my children are watching. I know we've talked about some of this stuff before, but I never got into great detail. The sons of Satan were part of the pagans. The pagans were enemies of hell's angels. There was a lot of fighting. We didn't use a lot of guns back then, but there was some. But we used a lot of pipes and wrenches and tire irons. And if you had a gun, usually you used the back of it just to beat somebody. And I was the smallest one and the youngest one in the club, tiny. But I became pretty tough. And I did a lot of things that I'm really not proud of. I hurt a lot of people. And I've tried to make amends. I've found people that I've hurt, including my family. And I've gone to them, and I've told them, this is what I did to you. And they admitted, they said, I remember that. I totally forgot about it, though. I mean, yeah, I remember it, but I didn't ever want to bring it up to you because you're so much different now. You're so much nicer. And I said, I'm glad that you do remember it because I wanted to tell you how sorry I am. And I wanted to tell you that I'm not who I was. I got into a band at 17 and still playing all over for motorcycle clubs and car clubs. And we got paid some money, had a lot of respect. And then one day we had a car show down in San Diego, the Trident's Car Club, which is probably still in existence. And we went down to San Diego to have this car show. And we went across the border afterwards into Tijuana. Now I'm 17, and I drink, I smoke weed, haven't taken anything else at this point. We go down there and we get drunk and get in a fight with taxi drivers. Well, the last thing you want to do in Tijuana is get in a fight with taxi drivers because they show up by the hundreds. They must have, and even in those days, we didn't have cell phones or anything, but man, it's like they have a network that's unlike any modern technology, and they just showed up right away, and they were thumping us with chairs and everything else. But I knew how to take my lumps, and I knew how to dish them out too. So we were fighting away. There was, let's see, I believe there was probably close to 100 of us total in all different car clubs. Of course, my barons were in full regalia, and the highway patrol, which people will tell me that's impossible, but we're talking about 1967. The highway patrol was sent into Tijuana to escort us out because we were too violent for the police to try to arrest, and they didn't want to bring in the military because they were afraid their own people would get killed, that the military just start killing everybody. So the highway patrol came in and guided us out of there. And we were taken across the border. And even though they had helped us out of the situation, we gave them a ration because we were outlaws. And that's what you do. An outlaw does not like the police. And boy, were we dumb. Oh, man. So after being harassed so many times and having to go to court and a few other things, I joined the service. I was 17, and I said, that's it. I've got to get out of here because I'm going nowhere, and I've got nothing in my life. I'm empty. So I went over to Vietnam. I started off as an infantry specialist, a lot of different names for it. But anyway, and then I got injured, and I had a torn tendon, Achilles tendon in my leg. So I couldn't continue on with infantry, but they didn't discharge me or anything. They sent me to aviation school, and I learned to be a helicopter crew chief. Excuse me. I'm crying. Okay, I learned to be a helicopter crew chief. So I thought, well, this is very cool. I can't even go to Vietnam because how do you fix helicopters in the jungle? No, you can't do that. Well, little did I know that they have bases in Vietnam, and they'll send helicopters for big repairs to the bases. But I was doing minor repairs because as a crew chief in Vietnam, you're a door gunner as well. So you're flying with your aircraft. I'm 17. I just turned 18, and I'm going through war that they train you to be a combat person, but they don't train you in real combat. So yeah, it's a lot louder than training, and it's a lot scarier, and the blood is real. Okay, I entered the darkest place I've ever entered. Evil beyond all imagination. You could see Satan's face everywhere, even within our own men. Heroin, some type of other narcotics, opium. Man, it was just rampant. And I'm thinking, wow, I don't want to be part of this, but you have to fit in with the guys. I'm the youngest guy in the squad. Nobody wants to be around me because my fatigues are dark green, which means I just got there. They haven't been washed yet. Everybody thinks I'm not going to last long anyway, so why become a friend to a ghost? You know, I'm a walking dead man. I'm not going to live long. And I was in a small recon unit, so we had a very short life expectancy anyway. So I got shot down 5 times. I was wounded twice. I was in more than 100 combat missions, including missions beyond the border. And that's all I can say about that, whether it's televised or not. We went beyond the border, and that's all I can say. But at one time, and excuse me if I get a little emotional, but one time I got shot down. I was the only survivor. So I'm in the jungle. It was a night mission. I'm in a rice paddy. Our ship is down. My pilot, my co-pilot, and my door gunner are dead. We're taking fire. It's a hot LZ. I have all kinds of support. I've got cobras trying to cover me. I've got loaches trying to get in and extract me. I'm about crying on the radio. And all of a sudden, I did the only thing I could do. I was so scared because I was there all night. They couldn't get in. And I think the enemy wasn't killing me because they knew I was alive and they wanted to take me prisoner. That's the only thing I could assume. But then I reached out and I started doing what I haven't done in so many years, and I started praying to God. I was scared. I was scaredless. I truly believe God sent angels through the 3 men, my 3 closest buddies, that were dead there. I think they became angels and watched over me and brought me out of this dark place. And I swore, yeah, God, you saved me, and I'm never going to forget you. But I got out of that. I got out of Vietnam. I came home, and I forgot about God. I walked away again. I walked away again after I'd been through so much, and He had done so much for me. So I got into another band, the Notorious Blue Spirit Band, and we toured all over We were on TV as well. We didn't have any real hit records, but we were well known because we had some big money sponsors. Well, during that tour, we got so notorious that and if you can imagine the Hells Angels, the pagans, all of them, they didn't remember who I was. I mean, I don't even want to say my nickname because who knows, you know. But anyway, so our band got so notorious. We'd be on TV one day and be playing at a Hells Angel party the next. We get respect from the Angels anywhere we go. It's like, don't touch these people. That's the Blue Spirit Band, the notorious Blue Spirit Band. We could go into the Mafia. We could go into the Hells Angels. We go in the Pagans. We could go on TV. We were on the Dinah Shore Show. We were on the Merv Griffin Show. We had carte blanche because we had power. And that power was Satan's power. And if you look at all the things I just mentioned, the TV shows, the motorcycle clubs, all that, evil stuff. Merv Griffin, Dinah Shore, if you look deep into that, very evil people. Merv Griffin's one of the most evilest SOBs I've ever come in contact with. And I'm glad we stole stuff from his studio. I'm really glad. You know. And yeah, payback, you know. Anyway. So then I bring us to the present, or close to the present, and I knew things were going bad. I was at a time where, because of all my sinful ways and the way I'd walked away from God, He wasn't punishing me. I was punishing myself. Satan's the one that brings us the punishment, not God. So my whole world came tumbling down. My oldest son died, 1985. Man, what a slap, man. It kicked right between the legs, and that would have even been less painful. Then I met this woman who is now my wife, and her family were Lutheran, and they said, you know, you got to come check this out. And you know, I kind of paid a little attention, but nah. And then I went one day, and they go, oh, you got to go. The band's good. They knew I played music, and I hadn't been playing for a while now. So I went, and the music was awesome. There was a message in there for me in the music, because that's what I related to the best. You could preach to me all day long. I didn't want to hear it. Read the Bible? I don't even read the newspaper. You know, I just don't like reading. So somehow God sent this woman to me, and I've been diagnosed with PTSD at the highest level. So this poor woman has suffered a lot from me. I've brought nothing but a lot of grief to my family. I've made a lot of amends since then, but she brought me back into a church where I found that people that don't know my story didn't care. They just accepted me because they could see that I was reaching out for something, and they helped me come in. And I have tons of people I could thank for bringing me back. But I spent more time with my parents, thank God, because it was the end of their life. And my father passed on Thanksgiving morning, 1988. It had a profound effect on me, and I started to slowly wake up spiritually. I was going to this Lutheran church in Anaheim Hills, and I started playing in the praise band there. Wow, that's nice. Now I'm in front of the whole congregation. And I'm trying to figure all this stuff out, but I'm getting more spiritual. And then all of a sudden something opens up to me, and I start getting jobs in Hollywood. I had lost all my jobs. I had PTSD. I had made physical contact with two of my bosses. You don't do that, you know. I had so many jobs, I couldn't even begin to tell you. But everything started changing. I wasn't who I was. My heart, it became a real heart again. I could feel love again. Although even to today, I don't know if I can fully open up and love, but I truly try. And that's what it is. It's a journey. We try. So anyway, I started working in TV and films. I got jobs. I was a bodyguard for some celebrities and high-profile people. I had been a tough guy even as a kid, I guess. And anyway, so I worked with a lot of famous people, musicians and all that. And I came to a place here in Murrieta to settle down, and I'm playing at Centerpoint Church at French Valley about 1 or 2 times a month. I've worked hard on my journey. I've worked hard on trying to become more faithful and have a loving heart. And I just want to say to all men and anybody that may be watching that it's okay to show love. Love is not a weakness. Show who you are. Show other people that you understand. They may be having some things they're going through that you don't know about. You know, the couple that's in the store, an older couple that barely moving or driving in front of you, and you're like, oh, come on, pick up the pace, old timer. Well, that's me too, but hey, they just got notice from their doctor that this is going to be their last year of shopping together. She's dying of cancer, and there's no cure. Don't forget, man, you don't know what everybody else is living. So let's have a thought for other people, that give them an opportunity to be themselves, and maybe if you get a chance, witness, but witness in a loving way. Don't hurt people. Don't go in their face and discourage them right from the beginning. So show some love. I've been saved from one of the darkest places you can imagine, and I encourage you to see a movie called Restored Me. It's by Craig Carlisle, who's at Centerpoint Church, and it's an awesome movie. If you get a chance, if you could support that. And then another friend of mine, Michael Franzese. Hey, Mike, I know you're watching. Anyway, he was the highest member of the Colombo crime family at one time in New York. Of the 5 families, he was the highest money earner of any made guy ever. And he found Christ in church, and he is a great Christian guy. And he has created a movie called God the Father, which comes out, I believe, November 1st. And so it's from the Godfather to God the Father. And you want to hear, he's a professional speaker now. He's flawless. So anyway, I want to thank you guys and bless you all, and safe travels. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.
What was that defining moment that brought you back to God, and you, at that point, it became real, and basically you dedicated your life to Jesus?
Yeah, my wife had a traumatic brain injury about 3 years ago, and she fell from the top of the stairs, hit a post that was sticking out, the railing, and lost part of her skull right here, and had a traumatic brain injury. And she died in my arms. Came down the stairs. I was turning off the lights down the first floor, and she comes down the stairs with her arms behind her like this, and then hits the front hinge of the door. I didn't know she had cracked her skull open. I was trying to revive her because I thought she had broke her neck, and I'm trying to do first aid and bring her to. Then she went into convulsions and basically died in my arms, and then I see there's blood all over the place. And I'm telling my son 3 years ago, he was 17, I said, dial 911, and he was so scared, he goes, I don't know how, you know, but anyway, I used every prayer, every moment. I said, this is it, this is the moment. I said, yeah, we fight and bicker and all that, we're just a married couple, but God, bring her back to me because she takes care of me, and it's somebody I need in my life. And I said, God, I need you in my life. You're the most important thing. I understand that now. I get it. And at that moment, I got it, and I haven't been, that's been 20, well, the time I committed was 25 years ago, and then was 3 years ago that I realized I was in a good, faithful journey, and that I recommitted on that day, in that moment, that I'm not leaving that journey. You can say what you want, but the world hates disciples. Well, they hated Jesus first. So if they hated Jesus first and they hate us for being disciples, so be it. They persecuted Jesus. They killed him. They're going to persecute and try to kill us. That's the way it is. So just keep on, brothers. We're the bravest of the bunch. It takes a coward to just follow the easy road. This is the brave part. This is the real men here, and I'm just proud to say that. Thank you for letting me be part of this group. Thank you.
All right. Well, the good news.